The 2023 Southern 500 has officially concluded from Darlington Raceway, and we see some pretty solid racing, a lot of playoff implications of the playoffs starting, and Kyle Larson finally winning the Southern 500. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. I just got done watching the 2023 Cookout Southern 500. We got quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. So obviously the playoffs did kick off tonight. Let's go through talking about the race. So for the green flag drop in tonight's race, Kyle Busch, who did make the playoffs here, had to go to the rear due to unapproved adjustments, replacing a broken towing that they had suffered during practice and qualifying. So at the start of the race, he had Christabel lead from the inside and Denny Hamel on the outside, and Christabel was able to clear for the race lead and took advantage early. Christabel began to start really pulling away and had a really strong car early, and then we started seeing green flag pit stops really early in the run. First, you had Michael McDowell, Chase Briscoe, Kevin Harvick, Joe Logano, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Eric Jones, all come down pit road. Then a lot of other leaders also started coming down pit road, including Christabel, who bled coming to pit road, but unfortunately, he had a terrible and a slow stop and lost a ton of positions. Obviously, Christabel coming this weekend had Ty Gibbs picker, which I thought that was going to benefit him, but it really did not benefit him. Also, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got a speeding penalty on pit road. Meanwhile, Ross Chastain was trying to fight Tyler Reddick, who actually assumed control of the lead after the mistake by Christabel's pit crew. He assumed control of this race, and Ross Chastain was really trying to fight hard to keep the lead, or down the lead lap. But eventually, Tyler Reddick got held up so much that Denny Hamlin was able to pass Tyler Reddick for the race lead. Then, the second green flag pit stop started happening. First, Kyle Larson came down pit road along with Michael McDowell, Tyler Reddick, Kevin Harvick, Chris Buescher, Joe Logano all came down pit road. And the green flag pit stops would continue, and Christabel decided to stay out. Then Bubba Wallace came down pit road. He had a terrible pit stop the next lap, unfortunately, and got stopped on the hose. That lost him a ton of time, but he didn't lose a ton of track position. And then eventually, Christabel, he came down pit road from the lead to complete the cycle. And eventually, Tyler Reddick was able to clear for the lead. But Kyle Larson also jumped up a ton of positions because he got a lot of track position by coming in early. He was able to jump up. And then eventually, Denny Hamlin had a much faster car than Tyler Reddick. Reddick was getting held up by traffic, and Denny Hamlin caught Tyler Reddick and was able to pass for the race lead. Meanwhile, Christabel at one point was definitely catching the race leaders and was starting to run them down, but unfortunately, Christabel didn't have anything for him and started fading on the longer run. At this point, coming to white flag, Denny Hamlin had about a second lead over Tyler Reddick and Kyle Larson as well. Kyle Larson's car was really starting to come in on the long run, and Denny Hamlin, though, would come off the final corner and win stage number 1, which would be the first time in a long time you had that long of a green flag run. Meanwhile, Bubba Wallace coming into turn number 4 was trying to pass Joe Logano for, I think, 11th or the final stage point, and Bubba Wallace unfortunately spun out, made a major mistake right there. Luckily for him, he didn't get a ton of damage from that, but that cost him a shot and opportunity to get stage points and would drop him to the tail end. So then all leaders would come down pit road under the caution, with Denny Hamlin winning the race off of pit road. Meanwhile, Joe Logano actually got damaged from hitting the outside wall from the contact from Bubba Wallace and would have to come down pit road to fix the toe link from the contact. So then on the restart, Denny Hamlin lead the field from the outside with Tyler Reddick on the inside. And we also had issues ending with Christabel as well, where he got into the outside wall and his car started fading on the run. But Denny Hamlin got a really strong restart and was able to clear Reddick for the lead. But as I mentioned, the longer we went, Christabel's car started fading, and unfortunately, this kind of started taking him out of contention in this race because of the damage that he had suffered. But as the run continued on lap 150, we started seeing green flag pit stops once again. You had Kyle Larson come down pit road from second position. Then you had Christabel stay out, try to save out for the lead for a little bit. And you had Mark Truex Jr., who was starting to move a little bit toward the front. Unfortunately, his night would continue to be really bad because he would have to come back down pit road due to a loose right rear wheel. And then Christabel stayed out for a very long time, but inevitably on lap 163, he would come down pit road. And then drivers are starting to complain about the lights going out in turn number 3. The lights were basically going out. There was issues with that. And they would go ahead on lap 180 and throw the first caution for incident on the racetrack. To me, I feel like they should have thrown the caution sooner if they were going to wait that long. Again, I've not seen a caution in a long time come out for lights and the lights breaking at that point. Sometimes crazy things happen. And then NASCAR decided, you know what, we're going to run under caution for a very long time. It took them like 7 or 8 laps to decide to throw the red flag, which I think they should have run the red flag a lot sooner because they were burning caution laps, and it was helping guys like Joe Logano and Christabel with the damage as well. They were able to work on that, but I don't understand why it took them so long to get the red flag thrown. Teams were saying they were ready to go back racing, but then of course you had other teams saying they weren't ready. So like I said, they decided to go ahead and red flag the event. I really did not understand that, to be honest with you, but it only took them 6-7 laps to get the issue resolved with the lights, and it got them back on. I haven't seen a race stop for something like this ever, so it's been a long time. So then after the red flag, they brought the caution back out. And on the restart, Denny Hamlin lead the field from the outside with William Byron on the inside. And Denny Hamlin got a really, really slow start, but he was able to clear and get a really strong run to clear for the lead. Then Denny Hamlin will continue to lead, I believe, over Kyle Larson, but the next caution will come out lap 216 for BJ McLeod, who stopped on the racetrack down the backstretch. His car was smoking, got to the bottom of the racetrack, and brought the caution out and ended his evening. So then all leaders would come down pit road with Denny Hamlin win the race off of pit road. Eric Jones, though, had an amazing and incredible pit stop and jumped up a ton of positions and would get up to third position, gaining 3 spots on pit road. So then during the next caution, you had Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, Mark Truex Jr. take the waiver round because they were close to the end of stage 2, while the rest leaders got to stay out. But then on the restart, Denny Hamlin lead the field from the outside with Kyle Larson on the inside, and Denny Hamlin got a really strong restart and was able to clear for the lead. Kyle Larson was trying to keep up with Denny Hamlin, but he really didn't have anything for him. But then on lap 225, another caution would come out for Austin Cindric and Ty Gibbs, tangling going into turn number 1. Austin Cindric basically pulled the Ross Chastain, of course, earlier this year. Ross Chastain moved up the racetrack and basically tried to block Kyle Larson, and we saw Cindric basically do that. I think that mistake goes, unfortunately, to Austin Cindric. Obviously, Cindric did have a new crew chief, and they were having a pretty solid run, and Ty Gibbs also having a pretty good run at that point. So unfortunate for both drivers, but unfortunately, this would take both of them out of contention for the race. I think it was a stupid move on both drivers, well, mainly on Austin Cindric's part. So then during the caution, you had Kevin Harvick, Chris Buescher, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, AJ Allmendinger, Carson Osborne come down pit road while the rest leaders stayed out. So then on the one-lap shootout for the restart, you had Denny Hamlin lead the field from the outside with Kyle Larson on the inside, and Denny Hamlin was able to get a really, really strong restart and was able to clear Kyle Larson for the lead. Larson was challenged by Eric Jones, but Eric Jones did not have anything for Kyle Larson, and Denny Hamlin would come off the final corner and win stage number 2. Then during the caution, you had Ryan Blaney, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Mark Truex Jr. all come down pit road while the rest of the leaders stayed out. So then on the restart, Denny Hamlin lead the field from the outside with Eric Jones on the inside, and Kyle Larson got a really, really strong restart to get the second, but Denny Hamlin also had a really, really strong run and was able to clear for the lead. Meanwhile, on lap 257, as the run continued going on, Kyle Larson got into the outside wall on lap 257 and got a little bit of damage, and he was worried that he had broken the towing. I thought Kyle Larson's night was unfortunately going to come to an end because of this, and he dropped a ton of positions and started fading with the damage, and the car did not seem to be the same. But then, green flag pit stops started happening about 12 laps later. You had Todd Gillen, Michael McDowell, Chase Briscoe, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Harrison Burton, Mark Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, and Ross Chastain come down pit road. Then the next lap, you had Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, and Kyle Larson come down pit road. And then the next lap, you had Kevin Harvick, who was starting to charge back up to the front, come down pit road. But Denny Hamlin, who actually was right next to Reddick, lost the race lead and got passed by Byron. And unfortunately, he radioed in and had to come down pit road because he was starting to feel that he had a loose reel. Major, major unfortunate circumstances for Denny Hamlin, who was one of the fastest cars, probably the best car in the field tonight. This would sadly take Denny Hamlin out of contention in this race to go for the victory and would drop him way far back and would not have a chance to win because of that mistake. The team said they didn't see it, but Denny Hamlin says he felt that there was a tire issue. And as the run continued on, about 20 laps later, JGL got into the outside wall on the backstretch, but they kept it green. And then Kevin Harvick, like I said, was starting to come into play and was starting to move forward to the front and got up to second position. And then Ryan Newman was kind of becoming a little bit of a public nuisance and was starting to block Tyler Reddick and a couple other guys as well. And Ryan Newman got into the back of Tyler Reddick. They had contact. And then we started seeing green flag pit stops a few laps later once again with Kyle Busch coming down pit road first. And then the next lap, Kevin Harvick was coming down pit road, and Tyler Reddick was thinking about coming down pit road, but he stayed way up on the racetrack, slowed way down, and Ryan Newman ran into the back of Tyler Reddick, and Ryan Newman would spin, bringing the caution out, unfortunately screwing Kevin Harvick out of contention to win this race because Kevin Harvick came down pit road and basically pitted, which would drop into the tail end of the long slide. I have no idea what Tyler Reddick was doing there. That was completely a bonehead move, in my opinion. And if I got to give a what an idiot award out, I would have to give that to Tyler Reddick because that was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen as a NASCAR fan. You were coming down pit road. Be lower to the racetrack. Why are you all the way at the top of the racetrack and stopping in front of Ryan Newman? Ryan Newman can't do anything there. I know Newman was kind of being a little bit of an idiot those last 23 laps. But still, that in my opinion, the blame goes on Tyler Reddick for that. And that unfortunately screwed Kevin Harvick over. So then all leaders would come down pit road with Kevin Harvick basically having to perform his service already. He would be first, but of course he got that penalty like I mentioned. And Kyle Larson actually won the race off pit road. So then on the restart, Kyle Larson lead the field from the outside with Chris Buescher on the inside. And Kyle Larson got a really, really strong restart and was able to clear Chris Buescher and Tyler Reddick for the lead. Then as Kyle Larson had to lead a few laps later with 49 laps to go, trouble would strike for Alex Bowman and Daniel Suarez. They were battling for 9th position. Alex Bowman probably made another really, really stupid move by trying to block down the racetrack once, and then he blocked twice. He comes back up the racetrack, and Daniel Suarez unfortunately clips him. They hit the outside wall, and Harrison Burton is collected in the wreck. In my opinion, while there's a little bit of blame that could go to Suarez for getting into him, the main blame goes to Alex Bowman. That was a bonehead move by Alex Bowman, in my opinion. You block once, that's acceptable. But you have 45 laps to get the position back. If you know you're faster, I know it's hard to pass with the next-gen car, but that was one of the dumbest and stupid moves I have seen this year. So really, really frustrating to watch. And honestly, in my opinion, a pretty unacceptable move by Alex Bowman. And Alex Bowman 100% is taking responsibility for that wreck. And Daniel Suarez was not happy, and also Jeff Burton was not happy, and it was completely understandable. So then, during the caution, we had a lot of guys stay out under the yellow, that being Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, and Ross Chastain stayed out, while the rest leaders came down pit road. So then on the restart, Kyle Larson lead the field from the outside with Chris Buescher on the inside, and Chris Buescher was able to stay in second with a great push from there, and we had Buescher really maintaining with Larson, but Larson kept the lead. Then, with 36 laps to go, the final caution of the race would come out for Kyle Busch, who ran up the racetrack and unfortunately got into Todd Gillen. 3 wide, he had Austin Hill on the outside, he had Todd Gillen in the middle, and Kyle Busch went up the racetrack and got into Gillen. Gillen would spin out, and unfortunately this would collect his teammate Michael McDowell and Denny Hamlin, and also Christopher Bell got some damage as well, hurting a bunch of playoff contenders in the race. To me, a mistake by Kyle Busch, just an innocent mistake, unfortunately. Not a lot of I'm going to blame Kyle for that, but unfortunately, it's just a little bit of mistake on Kyle's part. He didn't mean to do that. He just went up the racetrack. He doesn't usually make mistakes like that, so give Kyle Busch the benefit of the doubt. Then during the caution, you have Brad Keselowski, AJ Allmendinger, Carson Nosevar, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Joe Logano decide to come down pit road. So then on the final restart, Kyle Larson lead the field from the outside with Chris Buescher on the inside, and Kyle Larson got to give a really great push from Tyler Reddick, and Kyle Larson was able to clear for the lead. And as the run continued on, Tyler Reddick at times was having a faster car than Kyle Larson, but Kyle Larson was able to maintain the lead. Then a couple times near the end of the race, Tyler Reddick was getting into the outside wall, hurting his chance to stay up front and continue closing in on Larson. And then inevitably, Tyler Reddick's car started fading. But in the last 5 to 10 laps, as a Kyle Larson fan, I was starting to get very, very nervous because Tyler Reddick was starting to catch up once again and cut the gap down to 5 to 6 tenths. But then Tyler Reddick was getting loose once again and had a challenge by Chris Buescher and William Byron. And as it came to the white flag, Kyle Larson had half a second lead over Tyler Reddick, would continue the lead going to turn number 1. Reddick cut the gap down to under half a second, and Tyler Reddick tried everything to catch Kyle Larson, and it would not be enough. And coming off the final corner, after many years of trial and tribulations of trying to win at Darlington, Kyle Larson comes off the corner and finally wins his first ever Southern 500, his first ever win at Darlington Raceway in the Cup Series, and his third win of the 2023 season, and also locks his way into the round of 16 as well. Massive congratulations to Kyle Larson on pick up the victory. He didn't have the best car tonight, but he was always up front in the race and definitely did what he had to do. He stayed in the game, stayed in the position, and had a very, very awesome night. Man, I've been wanting Larson to win this race for so long. This race has been eluding Kyle Larson, and a track that's been eluding Kyle Larson because he historically has been amazing and really, really great at this racetrack. And I didn't think he was going to win this race tonight, to be honest. But after Denny Hamlin issues and Reddick getting too loose and Kevin Harvick's mistake, Kyle Larson took possession of it, got it done, and finally wins. He's been so close to winning so many races this year, and now Kyle Larson has a chance to go into round of 12. He gets 5 extra bonus points as well, which is absolutely huge, and Kyle Larson does not have to worry as of now about the next round, and I'm really, really happy about that. And now Larson go out and win next week at Kansas. We know he's good at the next few weeks. I think Larson is going to be a championship threat, and I think he'll make the championship 4, and that third win really just proved it. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the race results, and I'll give you my score and thoughts on today's race. So Kyle Larson picks up the victory. Tyler Reddick finished second. I think Reddick had the top tier, top 3 car pretty much all night long. He just unfortunately got beat on pit road. 23-11 making a little mistake on pit road that cost him a shot. Reddick's car also started fading on the longer run, but a really great run nonetheless by Reddick. Led a ton of laps tonight, and nonetheless a great night for Reddick, finishing second. Fantastic run for that team. Chris Buescher finishes third. I'm telling you, Chris Buescher is legitimately here, and I think he can win the championship this year. This 17 team, they were quiet all night, ran top 10 pretty much all the race, and I thought Buescher was going to get a pretty solid run. Great night for Chris Buescher in third place. William Byron finished fourth, struggled at the beginning, but again, it was very difficult to pass. But William Byron, really great comeback. You got to do this if you're going to make it through these rounds, and William Byron had a lot of points tonight. Great night for William Byron in fourth place. Ross Chastain finishes fifth. Great comeback from this one team. That's his first top 5 since his win at Nashville. And maybe they're going to start picking up at the right time and start performing better. Because Ross Chastain was a little aggressive tonight, trying to stay on the lead lap. But hey, he did enough and was able to hang on and stay in. And you know what? Finishing fifth. Great night for Ross Chastain. A big confidence booster for this team. Brad Keselowski finished 6th, ran top 10 all night long, probably had at best a 6th, 7th place car, but still a very solid night for Brad Keselowski in 6th place, a track he historically has been great at. Bubba Wallace finishes 7th. A good run for Bubba Wallace tonight. He was up and down throughout the evening, but he capitalized on it. I think they're right on the cutoff line currently at the moment. I think they might be there. We'll look at the point standings here probably in just a little bit, but a great night for Bubba Wallace. Another solid top 10 run. Great day for Bubba Wallace in 7th. Chase Elliott finished 8th. I think Chase had a top 5, top 10 car all night, so solid run for Chase Elliott, being the highest finishing driver who did not make the playoffs. Good run for him. Ryan Blaney finished 9th, a decent comeback at the end. They were actually really good tonight, which I was surprised at because Ryan Blaney historically hasn't been the greatest at Darlington Raceway. Good night for Ryan Blaney in 9th place. And Eric Jones finishes 10th. I thought Eric Jones was going to be up front contending for the win. He was really, really good in this race. Ran top 5 and top 10 pretty much all day long. Great day for him. I think that's like his 6th or 7th top 10 of the year. This team's been turning it around recently. They're heading to Toyota next year, of course. Good run for Eric Jones in 10th. He historically has been great here. Kyle Busch finished 11th, an up and down night for Kyle Busch. Obviously had to start at the rear. They came back. They were in top 10 in points. They never had a top 5 car, but they do finish 11th. Not a bad day, all things considered, and a solid run for Kyle Busch in 11th place. Joey Logano finished 12th. I thought they were going to be completely screwed out of this race, but they come back pretty decently to finish in the top 15. Solid run for Joey Logano in 12th. A.J. Allmendinger finishes 13th. Solid run for the number 16 team. They had a pretty good run tonight, finishing in the top 15. Eric Almirola finished 14th. He had a really good night, in my opinion, for Sanders. Ran top 15 and top 10 alive in the evening. Good day for the 10 team. And then Chase Briscoe finished 15th. Decent run for Chase Briscoe in the top 15. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished 16th. Great comeback. A guy who was 2 or 3 laps down at one point. That's a solid run for the number 47 team. Carson Oswalt finished 17th. Want to give this guy a shout out. Finished on the lead lap. Ran top 20 pretty much all race long. And gets a well-deserved top 20 finish. Carson Oswalt, 1,000% is ready for the Cup Series. Great night for Carson Oswalt to finish in the top 20, and only his 2nd Cup start, by the way. He's ready. Obviously, a lot of talk about him potentially going to Spire next year. Great run for Carson Oswalt, and he's going to be in the number 42 car for the next 2 weeks, so I think he's going to continue to impress. Mark Truex Jr. finished 18th, a really disappointing night for Mark Truex Jr. We know how good he's at Darlington. He's won a couple Southern 500s before, so it's a massive shame to see Mark Truex Jr. struggle as much as he did. I'll be honest, I thought Mark Truex Jr. was going to be a contender, and just tonight was not the night for Mark Truex Jr., but they do salvage a top 20 finish. Kevin Harvick finished 19th. What a shame for Kevin Harvick. I think Kevin Harvick had a car that easily could have won this race. Unfortunately, just a mistake by the team to bring him in, but of course a mistake that cost him a great run by other drivers doing stupid shit on the racetrack. He unfortunately finishes in 19th. Tough break for Kevin, but they have a car that was capable of winning. I think this is their best chance to maybe make it to the next rounds. I'm not sure how Kansas and Bristol's going to go. He finished 19th, and Austin Dillon finishes 20th. Ty Gibbs finished 21st. Corey LaJoie finished 22nd. Chris Abel finished 23rd. What I thought was maybe going to be the day he was going to win. I think he had the fastest car early. Just mistakes on pit road. Just unfortunate broken toe links. Him making mistakes on the racetrack. Cost him a shot at a great run. Justin Haley finished 24th. Denny Hamlin finished 25th. Denny Hamlin had the best car. He led almost 200 laps in this race. Unfortunately, the loose wheel, getting caught up in the mess by Todd Gillen and Michael McDowell, cost him a great run tonight. Todd Gillen finished 26th. Not a great run, not a terrible run. Just unfortunately, cracks cost him a shot. He was running top 20 at points. Ryan Newman finished 27th. I know he made the mistake running in the back of Tyler Reddick, but he was maintaining the top 30 all night, which is solid, all things considered, for the car he's in. Ryan Preece finished 28th. Good to see him back at the racetrack, obviously, from the crash that happened at Daytona. Saw decent run from him, not great, unfortunately, but 28th is what he could do. Ty Dillon finished 29th. J.J. Yeley finished 30th. Austin Cindric, who just had a rough night, was running good most of the evening, finished 31st. Michael McDowell finished 32nd, just not a good night for him. Alex Bowman finished 33rd after crashing out. Daniel Suarez finished 34th. Harrison Burton finished 35th. And BJ McLeod finishes last in 36th place. Overall, really good for all those drivers who had really, really solid runs, in my opinion. And now, let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff standings. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff standings. So Kyle Larson, obviously, after winning tonight, he's locked in. William Byron is 45 points above. Good point save for him. Tyler Reddick with a great point save, 30 above. Chris Buescher is 27 above. Denny Hamlin's also 27 points above. Good to see him win both those stages to help them there. Mark Truex is 25 above. Kyle Busch is 20 points above. Brad Keselowski's 18 points above. Ryan Blaney is 16 above. Ross Chastain, who had a pretty good comeback night, he's 13 points above. Joe Logano is 3 above, and Christopher Bell, despite his struggles, is still above the cutoff line by 1 point. Bubba Wallace with a pretty good night, all things considered. He is only 1 point below. Kevin Harvick, after having a disappointing ending to the race, he's 2 points below. Riga Sanders Jr. is 15.4 below, and Michael McDowell is 19 below. So everyone right now, maybe outside of Michael McDowell that's below, I think could still mathematically have a chance to get in on points. McDowell's almost in a must-win situation. So now, let's talk about your overall thoughts on the Southern 500, and I'll give you my scoring thoughts on tonight's race. Honestly, I thought the Southern 500 was honestly a pretty solid race. Sure, it was really, really difficult to pass. You know how hard it is to pass with the next-gen car, and Darlington is a one-group racetrack. But I love the fact you had a lot of side-by-side racing at times. It was a technical race. You had to race the racetrack. You had some aggressive racing from time to time. And overall, I thought today's race was really, really solid. And you had a pretty compelling finish as well. You weren't sure if Tyler Reddick was going to be Kyle Larson at the end. You thought Reddick was going to have a chance to catch him, but Larson held on. I am going to give today's NASCAR race for the Southern 500 overall an 8 out of 10. Like I said, a pretty good race overall, a solid finish to it, and enjoyed today's race overall. I love the Southern 500. It's one of my favorite crown jewel events. Wish it was on NBC. I enjoyed it. I'll give this race an 8 out of 10. So, that is going to be it for the NASCAR Cup Series race review for the Southern 500. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so you know if I win a video, does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your thoughts below on tonight's race. What are your thoughts on tonight's Southern 500? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below. And congratulate Kyle Larson on winning Southern 500. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video on the channel. We got some news we need to discuss all the way back to Thursday. And of course, we'll have the Truck Series race picks. It may be coming out as well for Kansas. And then on Tuesday, we should have the NASCAR Xfinity Series race picks dropping for Kansas as well. And a lot of great content dropping on the channel that I can't wait for you to check out. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.